Hello, how good to be with you all again. Today we're going to carry on with the stories that I promised you we would have from the New Testament part of our Bible. And these stories are going to be about Jesus when he was here on earth and the stories that we read about him in the New Testament of our Bible. We've heard the story of when Jesus was born in Bethlehem, and today's story carries on from there. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem, Mary and Joseph and Jesus spent some time in a country called Egypt, because God had sent a message to Joseph that it wouldn't be safe to stay for them to stay in Bethlehem or to go back to their hometown of Nazareth. So they went to Egypt where they would be safe. But after a while, when Joseph knew that it would be safe, the family went back to Nazareth and settled down again there. Do you remember, that's where Mary and Joseph started out from before Jesus was born. And so Jesus grew up as a boy in Nazareth. Now, it was the custom then in those days for families to travel once a year to the big city of Jerusalem. And in Jerusalem was a big temple church. And there they went to celebrate the special festival called the Passover, which Jewish people all over the world still celebrate today, because Jesus' family were Jewish people. One of these years, when Jesus was 12 years old, something happened on that trip which Jesus' mother Mary never ever forgot. On that trip, lots of people had travelled together on the road to Jerusalem and celebrated the festival all together and had a wonderful time of celebration and worshipping God. Then when it was all over, they all travelled back together again towards Nazareth and the nearby places. Mary and Joseph were in the big crowd too. They were travelling along with lots of other people, and they thought that Jesus was somewhere in the crowd with his friends, just playing along. They knew he wasn't a baby. He was 12 years old after all, so he would be sensible and know how to stay safe. However, when they started to look for Jesus, Jesus was actually nowhere to be found. They asked everybody they met, "Have you seen Jesus? Have you seen Jesus?" But nobody knew where he was. I wonder whether you've ever been lost when you were little and you can remember what it was like. Maybe when you were in the shop where there were lots of people, or you were in the park where there were lots of children playing, and just for a few minutes you couldn't find where your family were. I expect it was quite frightening. And I expect your family were very worried looking for you. You'd all have been frightened. Well, eventually Mary and Joseph decided that they had no choice but to go all the way back to Jerusalem to look for Jesus there, because they just couldn't find him anywhere in the crowd where they were. They went back to Jerusalem and they searched and they searched. And where do you think they found Jesus? Jesus was sitting quietly and calmly in the big temple church, just listening to all the teachers there and asking them questions. He was still there. The Bible tells us that Jesus was filled with wisdom. That means that even though he was only 12, Jesus was very wise and very thoughtful. And the teachers were amazed at all the clever questions Jesus asked, and even some of the questions he answered. Mary asked Jesus why he had behaved like this, and why had he made them so worried. And Jesus said, they shouldn't have been worried. He just wanted to stay in Father God's house for a bit longer and just learn more about God. He wasn't being naughty or going anywhere he shouldn't. He just wanted to learn more about Father God. I expect Mary and Joseph would have been a bit cross. And I expect your families were a bit cross maybe if they lost you at some point. But I think, like your families, Mary and Joseph would have been so relieved to find Jesus that they would have forgiven him. And they all set off back together to return to their home in Nazareth. Mary and Joseph didn't quite understand yet just how special Jesus was. And they didn't know about the things that were going to happen to him later on. But we know some of those things, don't we? Because we've read those stories in our Bibles. And those are the stories that we're going to be reading over the next few times that we're together. We'll read those stories another day. But for today, that's the story about when Jesus got lost. Or well, his mummy and daddy thought he was lost, but he was safe in the temple listening to stories about God. Being with God's a very safe place to be. We know that God's always with us, don't we, wherever we are. Even when we're a bit frightened sometimes because we're lost or we don't understand something, we can just know that God is there with us and we'll be okay. Till I see you again or speak to you again another day with another story about Jesus. Stay safe. Look after yourselves and your friends and your families. And we'll speak again soon. God bless. Bye for now.